think obviously understand that pre-season's there to serve its purpose. For the majority, we managed to get good minutes into them. I think we're up against a good team. I thought we started the game well and they took a bit of confidence for that start, getting the penalty, and we were a bit aggressive with our work and played forward and didn't let them settle. But like a lot of good teams, they managed to work it out. They play similar to Motherwell last season in the sense where they fill the middle of the pitch. They play with 2 6s. They play with 2 8s on the same line as the 6s and 2 wobbling runners at the top to try and run the gap. So when you're not quite on point, they can make you at times look a bit disjointed, and I thought we were guilty of that. They passed up a couple of half chances to equalise before they did, but it was no surprise to me really when they scored. They thoroughly deserved that. So there was things we needed to speak about at half time. We matched up the shape, just got an extra midfielder in, which helped us. Cammy made more tackles in the first 15 minutes of the second half than anybody else had up until that point. And it's not just the most important thing, but it's a part of the game, and sometimes you need that just to get the crowd into it and try to let people know they're not going to get it all their own way. And delighted with his debut in that sense. So I think that all of a sudden the technical game that it was became more with duels and coming out top. And I thought we kept them at arm's length really the whole second half. I don't think they enjoyed the second half as much as they did the first half. And I certainly enjoyed watching my team a bit better in the second half. Without us being really expansive and brilliant, it was just important. I felt that we got through the game, we win the game, which is important. I always think it's important to try and win the game. And the width came from the fullbacks, and we had to sacrifice with Finlay to try and just get an element of control and stop enjoying it. So good to get a win. The second goal comes from good penetration, breaking the line centrally, and breaking the first line. Dan breaks the line, and Dan breaks the line, and that's a good run from Boyard to get the penalty. So all in all, we came to get a lot from the game. The results aren't the most important thing for pre-season, but it's still nice to win the game. And from my point of view, it's important. There's a lot of lads never quite got it, and sometimes when we manage a grander club, you want to try and give everybody the opportunity. But such a big game coming next Friday, I've got to be conscious that I've got to make sure there's enough players getting as close to 90 minutes as possible. So, and on that, every day is an addition to show me who should be playing, and with enough training days up to now, so team packed, the players who were getting as much as 90 minutes, it was important for me to make sure that, having been a player myself, you don't want to be undercooking into that first game, and it's important that we've got enough, the nucleus of that potential start team with the minutes under the belt.
On that, Derek, does that mean that perhaps the weekend against West Ham will also see that with you maybe as much minutes and cohesion into the side ahead of the trip to Tannadice the following week?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a different opponent, and we also play with Finlay. I like to have a ball carrier in my team, at least one. I've always, with a lot of my teams have been winners, but I just felt in the context of the game, we were losing a bit of confidence because they were dominating through the middle of the pitch. So, West Ham, we'll start to look at them tonight, tomorrow, and see, and hopefully, as I say, you might get one or two who didn't start tonight, played this game on Sunday. But again, based on your question, you'll see a lot of players who play tonight playing a game.
Derek, you said a couple of days ago that you were hoping to have a couple of new faces in before this game. I think there's still speculation that Dragicevic is on his way. How close are you? I'll leave that to you. How close are you to any other new arrivals coming?
I think the Room team have been really aggressive when we're clear on what we're trying to do in terms of the positions we've identified. It's clear for me we need a bit more in wider areas, and we could be winning our defender in the building. Dujon had an injection in his ankle on Friday, and we were only going to put him on an emergency today. He's due to play against West Ham. So we resisted him going. He's training now. He'll do more work tomorrow and get himself ready for Sunday. So we're not overly blessed with defenders at the minute. We are looking and quite close to completing 1-2 things. I know I'd said we'll try to get 1 or 2 done for tonight. And I think we had a pulse for 1 or 2, but we're still close. I certainly think it'll be at least 2 in for Sunday's game, and hopefully another one next week with Derek. And I think that for us, it's like, you want everybody ideally in as quickly as possible, but sometimes you've got to be patient as well. You know, when you don't want to blink too early, and there might be better options. So we've kind of tried to cover every eventuality, but I do think there's key positions that we could do with every building now. And you know, normally when there's good players available, you're not only showing down. There's other teams that you're competing against. But the good thing from the board, and for me and the recruitment team, the board they're supporting. They'll be really aggressive. We're doing it, at least giving us a chance to get good players here, and hopefully we'll see that.
And just off the news before the game about the van that came through from the SFA, can you just give us your reaction to that as well?
Yeah, obviously at my hearing this afternoon, and I was pleased to put my points across, but you know, I don't agree with it, and the club don't agree with it, and I'm glad that we're going to appeal against that. But with there being an appeal process, I'm reluctant and messing to say any more on that.
Good Derek to Alaska is not a player he had much time to work with. He's quite bright tonight. He's someone you think he can get a bit more out of this season compared to last season?
Well, I think I can, but also Tello's got to get that for himself as well. I mean, you look at him, he's so smooth, and he looks every part of footballer. You know, the size, the technique, speed. You know, we just need to try and get him at his best week in, week out. There's a few like that, to be honest. I think there's a few players who, from their best performance to their poorest performance, is too big a gap, and they try and get Tello and others a wee bit more consistent. But sometimes being young players and the size of the club and the band, sometimes you've got to work through that. And you know, that was the thing that disappointed me a wee bit in the first half. They were really quiet as a team and just kind of a bit laissez-faire and a bit kind of feel sorry for ourselves walking in at half time, and that's not going to get the job done. And then we needed to make sure that we galvanise each other. Fitness no always sunshine and rainbows. Sometimes you've got to dig deep and be more aggressive, and players like Tello and others need to fight through that and show their capabilities. And sometimes in a technical game, these games are a bit easier to show, and other times when you're not getting on your own way, you're going to have to dig deep. So Tello, without question, has got huge potential, and it's up to us and him to get it out himself.
Derek, Rangers manager, standing on the touchline in the suit and the brown rogues. Finally for you, how did that feel?
Yeah, it felt nice. I'm not going to lie with that. And you know, I've thought about it all day. It's been a bit an unusual day because I was involved in my hearing. But obviously when I've talked about that one for a long time. You know, but again, you allow yourself maybe to think about it momentarily. It's not something you're completely obsessed with when you're in the job, and I'm more concerned about getting players in and the responsibility I've got. I'm fully aware of the weight of this job and how much I want to do it well. So I'm more thinking about that than having that kind of little moment to myself. But of course, for myself and my family, it was nice, of course.
Sorry, Dad, just on the hearing today, I know you can't say too much, but it's important that managers like yourself feel as though they can speak their mind without kind of crossing the line, because you're kind of in a situation at the end of that season with a lot of Hampden. It's important that guys like yourself going forward can actually say what you think.
I've been a manager for 19 years now, and part of my job is you're going to be asked on contentious decisions and all the rest of it. I've never wanted to make it ever personal, and you know, and for me the decision was wrong, and I feel also I made my points at my appeal today. But I do think in general, you know, it's broadcasters pay a lot of money to hear managers' reaction, and you know, we've got to be careful that we don't have managers and players who I feel who have to be really sure of themselves and check themselves before answering a question. Should be, you know, and at no point was I want to inflame a situation. The situation was already discussed before I did my press, and it was quite big the moment in the season, and there was a lot of emotion. But I felt as though what I said was controlled, and that's what the appeal process will now discuss and consider.